Hello there, you are welcome to Wasi History TV. Before we begin with today's discussion, I would urge you to subscribe to the channel, and also I'll recommend that you also recommend it to your friends. Good. So today I want to share with you a very interesting um, topic, and that is the effect of the transatlantic slave trade. We've been dealing with slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade for a while. Um, we've been talking about it for a while, and today we are looking at the effect. How did Africa or Ghana, um, 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 how did the trade affected? I mean, how did the trade affect the people that lived in Africa, and specifically that lived in Ghana, where a lot of the slave traders were actually, um, you know, taken away. So let's look at our lesson objectives for today. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to um, discuss the effect of the transatlantic slave trade on Ghana. So by the end of this lesson or this discussion, you should be able to at least discuss some of the effect of the transatlantic slave trade on Ghana. Good. So let's begin with the first effect of the transatlantic slave trade on Ghana. So one of the first effects was the transatlantic slave trade depopulated the people in Africa or in West Africa or in Ghana. In the sense that a large number of the youthful age were the ones who were victims of the slave trade. So a lot of people that were actually taken away were the youth. Okay, and these youth also were in their procreative age. They were the ones who were actually active, sexually active, and therefore these youth were the ones who were actually procreating, to fill the population of the country. Now these youthful people were all taken away, and this affected the birth rate in Ghana or in West Africa in general, because they only left the older men, older people, older generation. And I mean, how do you expect these people to procreate? Some of them are in their menopause. Okay, and so the slave trade led to a drastic population depletion in the country. Okay, and that also deeply affected the birth rate, also declined in the country sharply. Good. Let's look at the next one. Decline in agriculture. There was also a decline in agriculture, as a result of the trade. Now, how did this happen? Now, the slave trade undermined the basis of agriculture. Um, this unfortunate phenomenon occurred because the people who could have offered labor in the farms were all taken away. Only the aged and the minors were actually spared by the slave traders. Okay, and these minors could not work effectively in the farm. So as we have already stated or indicated, don't forget that um, it was the youth. Because if you were a slave trader and you go in for let's say a weaker or older, a much older, slave, you won't get customers to buy such, slave at high prices, because they were considered as, liability. they were not strong, and you are going to use them to work. So the slave traders concentrated on the youth, and these youthful people were the ones who were actually supposed to work in the farm. They were very strong enough to work in the farm. So if this youthful age or youthful population are taken away, it should tell you that our agricultural sector as a country, was going to be affected, and it declined sharply because people were no more interested, in going to farm anymore because of the fact that they were actually being taken away. So only the aged people and the minors were doing farming, and that deeply affected the country. Good. Let's again look at the next effect. Again, it also led to a decline of our indigenous industries. So some of these traditional industries were the mining sector, um, were the of course poultry, the bead making, the iron making, the brass, and all of that. And these industries were actually also, these industries employed the youth. Okay, so the youthful population were the more people who were actually involved in these industries. And so it all of course goes down to boils to the fact that the youthful people who could work in these industries were also the victims of the slave trade, and therefore uh, the older or the aged and the minors were not actually able to work in these industries because mining, poultry, bead making, iron making all need strong people, strong men who would actually, work in these industries. So the slave trade actually led to a situation whereby Ghanaians or West Africans now begin to rely so much on foreign manufactured goods, you know, um, 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 because there was no demand, for foreign metals, which destroyed the demand for locally manufactured goods. And today, if you look at Ghana, if you look at Africa, most of the countries are actually relying on foreign goods, imported goods, even foodstuffs, that we can actually plant on by ourselves are all being imported. And that was the situation, and that was the effect of the trade. One of the effects of the trade. Let's look again to the next one was the slave trade again brought about general fear and panic. It brought about fear and panic in West Africa, okay, in the Ghanaian society. The trade brought about fear and panic because of the raiding. We've already established that one method of acquiring slaves by the African were through slavery and even wars. And so, people feared for their life that if they are to go out, they were going to be captured and sold as slaves. And so that also, brought about some kind of fear, some kind of general, fear, panic in the society. So people were actually, the effect was that people were not able to go out about their daily activities as they would have wanted, and and that affected almost every sector of the economy because people were not able to go to their industries, to work in them. We were not able to go to, the farm. We were not able to do so many things, because they feared that they could be taken at any time. Good. So let's look at the last of the effect of the slave trade, and then we'll bring our discussion to an end. Good. So the last one was that it also brought about intratribal warfare, because of the importation of gun and gunpowders by the Europeans. Remember, some of the European traders actually came with themselves gun and gunpowders. What happened was that, yes, we are not saying that Africans did not fight among themselves, before the coming of the Europeans. There were some sort of civil, war among ethnic groups. But with the introduction of these firearms, it came to intensify, escalated the whole intratribal, warfare. Okay, and so that encouraged a lot of, it brought about a lot of war. You see, with these weapons, some scrupulous chiefs could just, take them and wage wars and justify war on the less powerful state, just so that they can get access to, how do you call it, slaves or captives, war captives, so that they can sell them for 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 other things, like the guns and other stuff. So everywhere in the country, war, became the order of the day because of the fact that now people had, these weapons, acquired these weapons. So these weapons actually made, war, became very easy, among the people. They fought every now and then. Good, 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 good. I think we've had a very interesting uh, discussion. So you try and hand on these work. These are questions. The first one is an object question which came in 2017. The other one is a May June question in 2012, and that is the but that's 2012, and that's the Wasi question, and it is exactly what we have talked about. The content is what we have discussed about. It's up to you to put it in your own language and express yourself. Good. So thank you very much for your time, and I hope that you subscribe to the channel Wasi History TV. Encourage your friends. Share the link on your various social